Hey everyone, I lost my glasses. Can you pray for me to find them? Losing my glasses got me thinking about prayer, and I thought it would make a good video for me to share my thoughts about this topic. Now, in my church, I was taught to pray using the acronym ACTS, ACTS, Adoration, Confession, Thanksgiving, and Supplication. Basically, you start out by telling God how much you love Him and how awesome He is. Then you talk about how terrible you are and can never compare to how wonderful He is. After that, you thank Him for all the things in your life, good or bad, since everything comes from Him, right? And lastly, you tell Him how helpless you are and can't do anything without Him, so you ask Him to do things for you. Keep in mind that prayer is the main form of communication believers have with their God, albeit a strictly one-way connection. Most Christians say they don't merely believe, but they have a relationship with God. If this is their primary source of interaction with that relationship, then this relationship is clearly abusive. But with that being said, I want to put that topic aside and focus on the last letter of the acronym, supplication, or asking for things in prayer. First of all, I think it's incredibly arrogant and self-centered for people to think that they can pray to God for help with things as trivial as finding their glasses, especially when there are so many people around the world praying for help with serious life-threatening situations. Now, I know a lot of Christians will say this is not how you pray to God, or that God isn't there for your beck and call, or things like that, but still, there are a lot of Christians that do pray for God to intervene in their lives and help them with all different types of problems. Many Catholics, for example, they pray to Saint Anthony, the patron saint of lost things, to help them find something. There's even a rhyme. Dear Saint Anthony, please come around. My car keys are lost and cannot be found. Or whatever the thing is you're looking for. So whether it's getting a good grade on a test, or winning a soccer game, or making a new friend, or even curing cancer, many Christians pray for God to intervene in their lives for their benefit. Now, Sam Harris, in one of his debates, brought up the fact that thousands of children under the age of 5 die every day. The overwhelming majority of these children had religious parents that were undoubtedly praying for their children to get better, but sadly they didn't. Now, with that in mind, I think it's terribly selfish for people to believe that God will ignore the children's cries, but choose to help them with their problems. Why did God help you get a new job, but He didn't save the lives of those children? Perhaps the parents were praying to the wrong God, or perhaps they prayed to the right God, but in the wrong way. Or maybe they just didn't pray hard enough. Or a more common response is, maybe it wasn't part of God's plan. Maybe those children had to die because of some greater purpose that we just don't understand yet. This reminds me of an old George Carlin bit. So in the South, nothing is bigger than Jesus and football. Whenever there's a football game, it's very probable that both teams are going to pray for victory before the game. But only one team can be the winner. And there are usually two responses to this. The first is that we messed up somehow. We didn't trust enough in the Lord, or we didn't have faith, or we didn't have the discipline. This is like playing tennis without a net. It's heads I win, tails you lose. If something good happens, God did it. But if something bad happens, it's our fault, not His. Now, the second response is that it wasn't God's will. He already had a plan in place before the game started, and already made up His mind before the teams even bothered praying. In fact, He already knew that both the teams were going to pray for victory before they did so, and already decided which team was going to win, irrespective of the prayers that the coaches and the players made. This, in my eyes, renders prayer to either unnecessary or pointless. For example, if God was already planning on your team winning the game, then praying for your team to win is unnecessary, because it was already going to happen regardless of whether you prayed or not. Or, if God was already planning on your team to lose, then praying to win is pointless, because God is going to execute His plan regardless of whether you like it or not. I mean, After all, he is God, right? Who are we as mere mortals to ask him to change his plan just for our benefit? Who are we to say, hey, God, that's a great plan you've got, but have you tried doing it this way? I don't know. I think this way might be a better plan. Like I said earlier, it's arrogant and selfish. But here's the thing. Despite my long-winded rant just now, none of that matters. It doesn't matter if I think it's arrogant or if it's dismissive or it's immoral. God could very well be playing favorites and choosing who to save and who to let suffer while he watches. What matters is, does it work? Is there evidence for it? How can we verify that it works? How can we falsify it if it doesn't work? I said in one of my TikToks, you can follow me at Shane Billowitz, that I don't think I'd need some grand gesture like writing in the sky to convince me that God exists. I think we could start out much smaller than that. Like, if prayer worked significantly better than random chance, that would be a huge piece of evidence to support that there might be a God, or at least that there's something going on here that we should look into and take seriously. If, for example, 85% of people who convert to Islam and pray 5 times a day were completely cured of their diseases after 6 months of prayer, then everyone would be converting to Islam. But we don't have any evidence like that. We don't have anything close to that. All we have is confirmation bias and anecdotes and anecdotal evidence. So for every single time we try to study the effectiveness of intercessory prayer, it does no better than random chance. People who are prayed for fare no better than people who are not prayed for. In fact, in some cases, when people know that they are being prayed for, they actually do worse than the control groups, due to what we think of as some sort of performance anxiety. This here is the most important point. If you only take one thing away from this video, it should be this. There is absolutely no evidence that intercessory prayer is effective. None. Now, when you point this out to believers, you usually get in response, oh, I just have faith that it works. Or I don't care about the statistics. I have faith in my heart that the Lord will provide for me. And of course, the response to that is best saved for another video. Thanks to everyone for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and to hit that notification bell. Catch you later.